In this video, I'm going to break down the biggest mistakes that my clients have made. What the clients who have seen the least success, what they do, what behaviors they have that cut them off from having results, um, opposed to other clients who are going through the same thing and have really, really, really great results. So this is really great if you're growing a coaching or healing business, or all these principles apply for your own personal growth as well. And I want to start with a quote. I don't actually remember who the quote is from, but it's when someone gets really deep in a subject, the deeper someone gets in a subject, the more humble they become, or the more they realize that they don't know everything. And that's what I've seen. That's number one that I've seen on those clients who are cutting themselves off from success is they assume they already know how to do something, that it cuts them off from it. Or they'll go and do an activity, try it out, say they've done it, and then write that off as not working, as opposed to taking the responsibility that the way they did the action really affects how that performs. So, for example, someone saying, you know what, Facebook doesn't work for me. Facebook's not how I can market my business. There's a fly joining the party. And it's really easy to get caught up in that story, and it's also really easy to see like there are tons and tons of businesses that grow on Facebook and do really, really well. Your business isn't the exception. The story blocking you from executing is what the exception is. So if we stay in this mindset of curiosity, being humble, and being willing to experiment is probably the number one thing for success. Is we can try it on and see if it works or doesn't work. When I think of my most successful client, I live in Paraguay. I'm from Canada. I live in Paraguay. She flew here for 3 weeks, and she told me that she hired a coach prior to me who told her to implement these things in her business. When she did, all of these things went down. Like her sales went down. Like it kind of broke her business in some way. So then she just went back to how she was doing it before and everything was fine again, right? It wasn't permanent. And she didn't give up on that attitude either. And then she came to Paraguay. She implemented what I asked her to implement. And same with that, just like almost like a blind willingness. But it's not really blind because it's just leaning into intuition and leaning into trusting and willing to experiment. And then in after 2 weeks of prep, and then in that third week, so realistically in 1 week of action, she generated $17,200 of profit, extra profit in her business, more so than what was already going on. And it's so interesting because I can think of so many people in that same situation that when they got burned from that first coach, they would have cut themselves off from being able to receive from the second coach, from me in that situation. And think of it this way, like it only needs to work once and then you have it forever. So when something doesn't work, that's just a cost one time. But if you try it out and it does work, you get to hang on to that forever. That client now has the skills to generate that money in her business consistently. She gets compounding reward from that because she was willing to risk me telling her the wrong things, me telling her something to break her business again. And that's so powerful. I know, again, I'm talking about business here, but this is the same for your own personal growth. If you try something out and you're like, oh, it didn't work because this person reacted this way or this or that, it's like being mindful, like maybe it was just that person. Maybe this was an isolated incident and not the theme. And when we can be humble, willing to experiment, and being willing to fail, when we don't build up these stories, like again, going back to that example with the client, if she beat herself up about that, oh, why did I trust this person? Why did blah, 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 blah? That would have delayed her growth or maybe stopped her growth entirely, as opposed to just trying, as opposed to just experimenting. Because we can always go back to, excuse me, we can always go back to the way that we were before. These things that we're trying on, it's just like trying on a new pair of clothes. You can take it off after if you don't like it. But if you don't try it on, you don't get to experience what it is with it on and the rewards that come with that, right? Whether that's finances in the business, whether that's being able to navigate a situation with more love, with more compassion, being able to stand in your power more and more often. So take an honest look and look at some areas in your life, especially if there's a result that you want and you keep bumping into it and feel a bit of a wall there, then the universe is telling you, your results are telling you, you don't know as much about that situation as you think you do, because the results don't lie. We're either in alignment with it or we're not. And if we're not in alignment with it, that's really, really valuable information, so that we're not continuing to do the same thing, hoping that the result's going to be different.